Greetings everybody! Today we're going to talk about Garcinia Cambogia. And if that name sounds familiar to you, that's because supplements made from Garcinia Cambogia are hugely popular for weight loss. And guess what? I don't care. Yeah, today we're not going to be focusing on the benefits of having this supplement. No, I'm going to be focusing on something that is very often ignored about Garcinia Cambogia: the actual damn fruit itself. I will be looking at a red variety, a yellow variety. I'm going to cook with Garcinia Cambogia because it's actually quite popular in cooking in some parts of the world. And I'm going to experiment with this fruit by making Garcinia kombucha with my Garcinia Cambogia, because I just feel like I need to. But first, before we get rolling, I think it's only necessary for me to address the elephant in the room and talk about why Garcinia Cambogia supplements have exploded in recent years. Maybe that's why you clicked on this video. Maybe you're interested in taking these supplements and you're not sure if you should. Well, the reason why they're popular is actually really interesting and has a bit of controversy around it. So let's talk about it. Now, if you go over to Google Trends, you can see just how popular certain search terms are over an extended period of time. And if you search for Garcinia Cambogia, those results go back all the way to 2004. In the beginning, you can see that very few people are searching for this fruit, and then suddenly, there is a huge spike that starts at the very end of October of 2012 and then continues to escalate after that. So what happened in October of 2012?
The newest, fastest fat buster, and one of the least expensive too, is Garcinia Cambogia extract. I know it's a mouthful. I want you to write it down. Garcinia Cambogia, because it may be the simple solution you've been looking for to bust your body fat for good.
Yep, once again, Dr. Oz took a can of bees, shook that can, and then unleashed it upon the world. This graph illustrates a phenomenon that has become known as the Oz effect. It refers to the sudden boost in sales that would follow a Dr. Oz episode where he promoted some kind of supplement or medical doodad. After this Dr. Oz episode aired, his viewers flocked to the internet in order to search for Garcinia Cambogia online, especially people in Mississippi, apparently. There is a similar term for the boost of sales of something after the airing of an Oprah episode, but with the Oz effect, this has a more negative connotation, because with the Oz effect, it usually means that the thing that they are rushing to buy is some kind of snake oil. And for the Oprah effect, it's more positive because she was only doing that some of the time. Don't sue me. Over the years, Dr. Oz has been heavily criticized by the scientific community for promoting pseudoscience to his viewers. Well, it was specifically his endorsement of weight loss supplements, including the Garcinia Cambogia, as well as green coffee beans and raspberry ketones, whatever those are, that eventually landed him in front of Congress. And not in the way that he wanted.
Quote, Garcinia Cambogia, it may be the simple solution you've been looking for to bust your body fat for good. I don't get why you need to say this stuff, because you know it's not true. So why, when you have this amazing megaphone and this amazing ability to communicate, why would you cheapen your show?
If I can just get across the big message that I actually do personally believe in the items that I talk about in the show. I passionately study them. I recognize that oftentimes they don't have the scientific muster to present as fact, but nevertheless, I would give my audience the advice I give my family all the time, and I've given my family these products, specifically the ones you mentioned, then I'm comfortable with that part.
I mean, I've tried to really do a lot of research in preparation for this trial, and the scientific community is almost monolithic against you in terms of the efficacy of the three products that you call miracles.
Congress weren't the only ones upset with Dr. Oz. Many of his viewers went out to buy various weight loss supplements only to find out that they did not work. In 2018, there was a class action lawsuit against Dr. Oz, his production company, and a supplement company that he was allegedly connected with. I say allegedly because on his show, Dr. Oz would not mention brands by name. Very often he would say, "I'm not being paid by anyone to tell you this, go and get it yourself." However, he would very often tell viewers to look for very specific search terms when they would buy this product.
I'm not going to mention specific brands, but I do want to go through exactly what I would look for. So you're going to look on that list of ingredients. There should be 0 fillers. There should be 0 binders, 0 artificial ingredients.
And allegedly, those search terms would be leading them to specific brands that were using that terminology in their marketing.
Now with the Labrada Nutrition also, it says no fillers, 0 binders, no artificial ingredients.
And allegedly, he had some kind of connection to those companies. Allegedly. Initially, a settlement was agreed upon where Dr. Oz and his production company would need to pay $5.25 million. However, after years of litigation, Dr. Oz and his production company was actually dismissed from this lawsuit. So he got off the hook, but the supplement company, as well as the companies involved with its manufacture and distribution, did not. In the end, about $2 million was paid into a settlement fund as well as for various court fees. Although the supplement company is now no longer selling the Garcinia Cambogia products, at this point the damage is already done. The airing of this episode caused a ton of other companies to start selling and promoting Garcinia Cambogia, and often they cite Dr. Oz's episode for validation. Despite the controversy, the Garcinia Cambogia episode is still available in full on Dr. Oz's official YouTube channel.
It's called Garcinia Cambogia, a pumpkin-shaped fruit that grows in Southeast Asia and India.
I watched this entire episode and I have a couple of notes. Unlike Dr. Oz, I am not an expert in bullshit science, so I'm not going to comment about the efficacy of Garcinia Cambogia. However, I will comment on the fruit itself. At one point in this episode, Dr. Oz refers to the Garcinia Cambogia as tamarind.
I'm stunned that I hadn't heard of it earlier, but let me educate you all a little bit about what I do know about it. So it comes from a fruit.
Yeah.
As Dr. mentioned, it's the tamarind fruit. You've probably heard of the tamarind fruit. It's a pumpkin-shaped fruit used in cooking. You find it in chutney sauces, it's in soup preparations, a lot of traditional medicinal uses for it.
This is not tamarind. This is tamarind. Garcinia Cambogia is sometimes referred to as fish tamarind because in some countries they cook with it in fish dishes. However, it's called that just because it is similar to tamarind. It is not tamarind. Tamarind is a completely unrelated species. So saying it is a tamarind is confusing, to say the very least. And my second note is that this photo that they keep showing is not Garcinia Cambogia at all. This, I think, is an unripe mangosteen, which is, it's a Garcinia, same genus, but it's a completely different species, used in a different way. In typical Dr. Oz fashion, he doesn't even know what the product that he is promoting is, which is not a good look for someone giving medical advice. This, by the way, is not the first time that I've criticized Dr. Oz for doing this. If you haven't seen it, check out my episode on how the internet doesn't know what bergamot is.
It's called bergamot oil, and it's from a citrus fruit that's a hybrid between an orange and a lemon.
No, it isn't.
This powerful little fruit has a lot of history.
That's not bergamot.
Also with bergamot, it should have the active ingredient Citrus bergamia, which is what gives it all these great properties that we're talking about.
Citrus bergamia is the scientific name for bergamot. That's like saying to make sure that there's bergamot oil inside the bergamot oil that you're buying. You know what? Fair one. I honestly wasn't too sure. I mean, the bottle has a picture of something else. Your entire set is covered with pictures of something else. So I was kind of expecting that that bottle would not have bergamot oil in it. The Dr. Oz episode that I referenced in that episode is actually even worse, believe it or not. So I'll link that at the end of this episode. So now that we know what Garcinia Cambogia is not, let's talk about what it is.
So here's a Garcinia Cambogia, right here. And, oh, there's a couple of them. So
Yeah, there's quite a few of them.
Can you reach up and grab that one? Does it look good?
Yeah, it looks great. Oh, it's a red flesh gamboge.
What?
That is beautiful.
Hello everybody, so here is a red Garcinia Cambogia. I've never seen that before. Very nice looking fruit too, like very freshly taken from the tree. I'm gonna be careful not to drop this on the ground. Look at that. Let's rip out a chunk. Oh yeah, it's maybe a little bit bitter. Be totally honest, a little bit bitter. But besides that, nice flavor. I'm getting like a little bit of like a cherry kind of taste. And it has, you know, a mangosteen sort of flavor, like not purple mangosteen, but more like an acha-cha, because it has tartness to it. I'd say a 7 out of 10. Very sweet. Maybe a 6. It's got a little bit of like a resiny taste, like you would get from like orange peel.
It tastes a lot more like mangosteen,
Yep.
but with more acidity. Slightly bitter. Still fairly sweet, fairly high acid. That's really good.
And you can eat the rind too. Woo-hoo. Tastes okay, but it's really sour. It tastes like it would be good blended with water. Yeah, it's really, really sour. That's like 11 on the scale, more than a lemon. Really just kind of kicks you when you eat it. Not terrible. You don't want it on its own. People usually cook with the rinds, and that would make sense. Make a tea, cook with it. You know, that would be good. But straight out like that, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's like 11. So,
Yes.
but the inside tastes good. That was really good.
Inside is really good, and it just goes to show you that Garcinia Cambogia has a lot more to offer than purported health benefits.
Yeah.
You know, this is like very, very popular for weight loss and stuff like that. It's used for those reasons.
Yeah.
But eat the fruit. The fruit is delicious and should be appreciated for what it is. So here is the yellow Garcinia Cambogia tree, but this one is loaded with fruit. They're like all over the ground here, and they are hanging from the branches here. There's a ton of them. Very productive tree. And looks like Steven's got one. Rip that open.
There we go.
Okay. Nice.
Perfect.
Tastes like pears and syrup, but those pears are a little fermented. Did you pick that off the ground or off the tree?
Off the ground.
Let's try one from the tree. Okay, ready? Yeah.
Got it.
Got it. Woo! Got it. Woo! All right, there we go.
Things we do for fruit.
That's a good one.
There we go.
Nice. A couple clumps. Better?
Tastes a bit better, but very sour. Other one's way more sweet.
Still getting pear and syrup.
Yeah, I
Like
can taste
pears
that.
in a can. It still has maybe a touch of like that ferment taste though.
Yeah, that's
I think
right though.
that might just be how these guys roll.
Yeah. It does kind of taste a little bit like winey, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Quite marketable. I'd say you could still sell that. People would eat that.
But I would say the red one
Was the best, yeah.
even better.
As I mentioned, Garcinia Cambogia is sometimes used in cooking, and nowhere is this more prevalent than in Sri Lanka. I went to a Sri Lankan grocery store that's in Staten Island. There's quite a few over there. And I bought a couple products using the Garcinia Cambogia as an ingredient. So these are dried Garcinia Cambogias. And how this is used is these will just be usually thrown into a curry to add sourness to it. Or you can make a paste out of it by rehydrating these with hot water, draining it, and then blending it. But you can also skip that step and go straight for the jarred paste. So this is Garcinia Cambogia paste with salt, and that's all. In Sri Lanka, the Garcinia Cambogia is called Goraka, but it's also known sometimes as fish tamarind. And that is because very often this is used as a souring agent for fish curry. I tried to find another recipe that called for it that didn't have fish in it, and I found one website, I think it's Hungry Lanka, and they made a lotus root curry with it that looked pretty good. I love lotus root, and it's something that I don't think I've ever had as a curry before, so I gave it a try. In order to make this, first I prepared my lotus root by cleaning it really, really well because it could get very dirty, and then peeling it, cutting it into thin slices, washing it again several times, and then finally soaking it in a solution of water plus a little bit of salt and a little bit of vinegar. That is another way to get some of the muckiness out of it. If you don't prepare this correctly, it is going to taste like a dirty pond, and you do not want that. So while that was soaking, I prepared the next step. For that, I put some oil in a wok. I added mustard seeds, fenugreek, dried chilies, and then I added some curry leaves. It might be difficult for you to find these depending on where you live, but it is a key ingredient in this. There's a lot of flavor in curry leaves, and there's nothing really quite like it. You can buy them dried. It's not as good, but if you have to, use the dry ones. Then I added some chopped onion, some garlic, and my Garcinia Cambogia paste, and I mixed that up. Then I added curry powder to it, and I didn't add any kind of curry powder. I specifically used roasted garam masala, which is the kind of curry powder that is most popular in Sri Lanka. If you use garam masala to make like Indian curries, try using this. It adds a very interesting flavor to things. And then I added my lotus root slices without the liquid. You don't want to put that in there. It's going to taste like vinegar. So I mixed that all together to get everything incorporated. And then I added coconut milk, about, I don't know, like a cup maybe of coconut milk. And then I covered the rest of it with water so it would be submerged. I cooked this for a while, maybe like 20 minutes, trying to get the liquid to reduce down. And I realized that I made a mistake. Because I used a wok, this had more liquid in it than if I were to use a pot that just, had more surface area to it. So because of that, it ended up being too liquidy. This became a happy accident for me because I tried to fix this by throwing in some textured vegetable protein. And I think the textured vegetable protein adds to this dish because there's no protein in it. This adds like a little bit extra substance to it. And then I added some more coconut milk. The Goraka paste that I'm using has salt in it. So because of that, I didn't add any salt to this. But if I did not use this and I used the packaged stuff, I probably would want to add some salt, maybe like a teaspoon or something. The recipe that I followed actually did not call for the paste, it called for this, but I wanted to use the paste, so I used the paste. It called for this, and it said to actually take it out as you were cooking once it reached the proper sourness. These things are really, really powerful. Because of that, a lot of times it's treated more like a bay leaf, where it's just meant to infuse sourness and then you remove it. But if you know what you're doing, or if you're like me and you like to gamble, you can go with the paste and that's gonna add more into it. I used about a tablespoon of the Garcinia Cambogia paste, so it might be too sour. We'll see what happens. has a very nice dark color to it, and that is from the Garcinia Cambogia. It is definitely in there. I added more than I was supposed to, so I'm kind of prepared for this to like knock my socks off. Let's see. Definitely has sourness to it. And heat. Oh, I probably added a little bit too much chili to that. But it is good. And that Garcinia Cambogia taste is in there. It definitely is not tamarind. It's not, even though it's called fish tamarind, it does not taste like tamarind. Tamarind, if you haven't had it, it's kind of like if you were to cross like a tart green apple with a raisin. This stuff is more fruity than that. It's more like using like dried cranberries instead of dried raisins or dates. This adds a flavor that you don't really get from other sources. A lot of the recipes I was looking at said that if you don't have this, you could use regular tamarind instead of fish tamarind. You could, it would add the tartness, but it wouldn't add the correct flavor. It definitely has its own unique flavor, and it's a flavor that I think would work well for a lot of different things, not just what I made here, but something to experiment with. And you know what? I think I have an idea of something that would be pretty interesting to use this for. So I'll be back. So for my experimental portion of the episode, I'm going to make Garcinia Cambogia kombucha because I had it, I got that in my head and I just have to do it. So I've never made kombucha before, so bear with me if I screw this up, but so far so good. In order to make kombucha, you basically have to brew tea and then ferment it 2 times. I did the first fermentation. I did not do the second fermentation, so that's where we are right now. For the first fermentation, what I did is I took tea, I brewed that, I added sugar to it, strained that out, I put that in a quart-sized jar, and I added a SCOBY to it. So SCOBY is this little like rubbery thing called a pellicle and the liquid around it. And this has the yeast that you need in order to make kombucha. It's supposed to come with like a cup or two to make a good kombucha. This one only came with like a little bit and a very tiny pellicle. So in order to prevent molding, it was recommended that I add a little bit of vinegar to this. I did that, I covered it with a towel, secured it with a rubber band, and I put it on my fridge for about a week, and now it worked. So now I have the little pellicle that I started with and also a big one that has formed on the surface. So I am going to now take those 2 pellicles and a little bit of the liquid and I'm going to put it in a larger container so the next time I make this I'm going to actually have a large amount of this. But because I worked with such a small amount of SCOBY for my first kombucha, I only made a little bit, but it should be just enough to make 2 servings of Garcinia Cambogia kombucha. In order to add the kombucha to the kombucha, close enough, what I did is I took a fistful of the Garcinia Cambogia, damn it. I put that in about a cup of water and I cooked that for about 10 minutes on a low heat. Then I strained out the fruit and measured how much liquid was left. I added an equal amount of sugar to that, and then I put it back on the heat for a few minutes in order to form a simple syrup of sorts. Before I proceed further, I should remind you that I have never done this before, and I'm a little skeptical about this being good, because when I was cooking the Garcinia Cambogia, it smelled kind of like if you were to take a urinal cake and light it on fire. It had like this very strange floral kind of smell that smelled kind of like cleanser, but also a smokiness to it. It did not smell good. Since I have added sugar and made the syrup out of it, it smells better now. It does still have a little bit of that smell, if I'm going to be honest, but not nearly as bad. I'm going to dip my finger in there. That's okay. Yeah, it smells a lot worse than it tastes. It's not great, but it's okay. I'm guessing that when these fruits were dried out, they smoked it. That is going to make a complex kombucha, but maybe a good kombucha. I'm not sure. Let's go with it anyway and see what happens. I'm not sure how much of the syrup I should be adding to this. I want there to be flavor. I also want it to be sweeter than I want it to be, because when it ferments a second time, the yeast is going to eat some of that sugar. And yeah, so you want it to be sweeter than you want. By the way, I'd like to give a little shout out to the YouTube channel You Brew Kombucha. It was a very, very helpful YouTube channel. I did not reach out to them. This is not a collaboration or anything, but it was very useful. So if you want to make kombucha, I recommend checking out her channel, not necessarily following what I'm doing, because this is, as I will remind you, my first time doing this. Anyway, I am now going to take my bottles of kombucha. I'm going to put the lids on them tightly. I'm going to put them in a bag just in case these leak, and I'm going to put them back on my fridge for another week. Wish me luck. It has been 1 week. Let's see if this worked. Ooh, yeah. This is really good. That tastes like kombucha. Kombucha? This is actually quite good. That's kombucha. That's absolutely kombucha. Tastes like kombucha, and I am getting the flavor of the Garcinia Cambogia in there. Is it the best way of flavoring this? Probably not, because it does have like this little herbal, smoky, savory taste to it. But even so, it is quite good. It does add to it. It's just maybe a flavor that maybe not everybody would like. I mean, there are smoked teas out there, and I'm okay with those. I'm certainly okay with this, but I think next time I make it, I'm probably gonna use something else. But I owe most of that to the fact that the Garcinia Cambogia that I was using was dried and smoked. I think if I were to use the fresh fruit juice of the Garcinia, inside, outside, doesn't matter, it would be quite good. Even so, I like that. And yeah, thankfully the burning urinal cake smell is gone, and I'm not tasting anything that I imagine is what a urinal cake would taste like, because that does actually taste pretty nice. Out of everything that I've covered today, from the fresh fruit of both types, cooking with the Garcinia Cambogia, and the Garcinia Cambogia kombucha, I would list them in that order, best to worst. This is not bad, but I certainly like the fresh fruit best of all. It is very, very good, and it's kind of a shame that it is neglected despite how popular the supplements are. Garcinia Cambogia is a fruit that a lot of people have heard about, but very few people know what it is. And it is certainly a far more interesting fruit than the supplements that it has been reduced to. And I hope that this episode has shown you all that. By the way, if you enjoyed this episode, especially the part where I was trash talking Dr. Oz, check out my episode on how the internet does not know what bergamot is. It also features him as a character. I will link that in the end screen after this one, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye. It's growing on me. It's pretty good. I would like to give a very big thank you to Bill T, Joseph McCorkle, and Smarter Every Day. They are mega patrons over on my Patreon page. Patreon and also YouTube memberships are how I keep this channel going, and it is a huge help. So for anyone out there who is interested in supporting the channel, but also getting some cool rewards in return, check out the information down below.